And Mitch, you had an interesting story that came up this last week revolving around our favorite current whipping boy of Anthropic's Mythos, but maybe it's a good thing?
Well, there was the sort of the buzz about, the end of the internet, right? The Mythos will find any vulnerability and will never be able to catch up, which is, certainly one path you can go down with that whole thing. The other is that the response of the industry to say, all right, so A, how do we judiciously use Mythos without letting it get into other hands? It eventually will be recreated anyway. But what Microsoft did is partner with Anthropic to say as part of their software security service and process that they are working with Anthropic to use Mythos in their software, in their service, which is, what you want to do. I think that's the good path. I mean, I applaud Microsoft and Anthropic for actually working together. I mean, they're building it into Claude, right? They're building into like a Mythos preview. And that'll happen, I think, in other development environments. And they're integrating into the Microsoft security development lifecycle that they have through their MSRC. All good things, great moves. My thought about it, though, is what's really important about this is we've always talked about shift left, and we've sort of done it, but we haven't. We shifted left, meaning we made it a developer problem. We shifted left trying to do scanning and other things earlier in the process. Ultimately, like a quality issue in manufacturing, you only really solve it at the point of origin, which is where code gets generated, in this case with AI. And that's why I think this is a really important move.
I agree with you. I have a little story about this, though. I drink coffee because I'm in IT, and you'll notice that there's no lid on this coffee cup, right? We actually have a rule named after somebody at Field Day that all of your coffee cups at the table have to have a lid on them because of an incident that involved a MacBook, which you can find on my Vimeo channel. I look at a lot of the shift left mentality as, you would never spill your coffee if you just watch it carefully. If you don't put it anywhere where it can spill, if you move all the keyboards off of your desk so that they are not in an area where they can get coffee spilled on them. We've built so many controls around that. And then Anthropic walks in and goes, yeah, but what if like an earthquake hits and knocks your coffee cup over? Wouldn't it just be smarter to put a lid on it? And then everyone kind of looks around at each other and went, well, we never thought about putting a lid on it. It's because this mentality of move fast, break things, write more code, throw these things out here is so pervasive now that we forget that the reason why we have introduced friction into the process is to slow people down enough to prevent the mistakes from happening. The reason why you put a lid on a coffee cup is so that it can be close enough to your keyboard that in the event that something happens, it's not going to cause a catastrophic disaster if the unthinkable happens, which, by the way, the unthinkable happens probably once a week around here. And I love this idea of having a tool like Mythos just scan the code as it's created and be like, nope, you left a hole in there. Nope, that could be used as an open function call. Like, you can catch the problem. Now, the only thing I worry about with that is, like, when you're doing unit testing, what happens when the units have a problem? Like, what happens if you've created a race condition on accident? And I know that all of my friends out there are like, well, I'll just vibe code it and AI will fix the problem. Yeah, you ain't got enough tokens to vibe code that much code, brothers, especially considering what they're trying to do with it, where they're trying to use per token costing to rein in those people that are writing a billion lines of code a day kind of thing. I applaud Microsoft for taking essentially taking a machete and turning it into a tool and not a weapon. But I don't know that that's going to be enough to get people to understand the value of why we're trying to do it.